Hello everyone, welcome to the TSS. In this class, we are going to discuss about how to bypass the model layer. So, actually, in our Django, we studied that Django follows MVT mechanism. In the last classes, we had studied that. So, model, view, template. Okay. Now, in our last class, we had included the model layer, right? So we had defined one database, one database table by writing a code in models.py file and then registering that model to the admin page. All those things we saw. Okay, so that means we are taking the ORM support. Okay, by defining our models in models.py file. Okay, so it has its own advantages that you no need to learn database languages to write a native code. So if you simply learn the ORM Django's ORM language, then it is enough. So it will holds good for all database types. It may be a Postgres or MySQL or any DB it may be. Okay, but in some cases the requirements comes like this. If the ORM is not performing well and it doesn't cope up with your requirements, okay, so it's not syncing or migrating your models perfectly as you wanted, then you can always skip the model layer and you can perform a native database statements, right, for defining your database tables. Let us discuss about it in this class. So Django doesn't force you to compulsory define your database tables and database transactions with its models and ORM support. So Django doesn't force you actually, right? So you only do your database related transactions, defining databases, tables, all these things with my predefined models and ORM support. You must and should use this thing only to achieve the task. Like that, Django doesn't force. Okay, it's up to the developer wish to use the ORM support or not. So in Django, it's purely a developer wish. So there is a support I am providing. So if you take that support, it's okay. If you doesn't take that support and if you want to write your own code, then also it's okay for me. Okay, like that Django tells, right? But my support is always there, my models and ORM support. Right, Django provides you the flexibility to directly connect to native database by complete bypassing of its model layer and ORM support. Okay, so it will completely isolates its model layer and ORM support and thereby provide direct connectivity to the database. Okay, so the Django gives that much of flexibility. If you want to use its model .spy file and ORM support, you can make use of that. And if you don't want that models.py file, Python classes form of database tables, defining database tables, or using its ORM specific commands for DB transactions. So you can always isolate those model layer and ORM support, and you can directly connect to your database. Okay. So and then after connecting, you can execute direct native DB language commands. Okay, that means native DB language command means it's a database specific language syntax. For MySQL, there is some syntax for writing database commands, right? For PostgreSQL, there are some set of syntaxes and commands that are specific and own to Postgres, and Similarly, Oracle DB has its own syntax, its own way of doing DB transactions. Okay, so Django is there for providing ORM support and models.py file uh, of database tables. If you don't want that, you can directly write native database language commands. So if you are using MySQL as your database, then you can directly write MySQL statements specific to MySQL syntax. By using MySQL syntax, you can write MySQL commands for querying the database and can perform CRUD operations with your own PDBC code. PDBC code means Python database connectivity code. So in my Python classes, I think in Python advanced tutorials, I had discussed this. So for communicating or connecting with any database, any programming language needs connectivity. Okay, database connectivity. Okay, for Java it is JDBC. For Python it is PDBC. Right? Python database connectivity. This code you need to write. Okay, if you isolate that model layer and ORM support of Django's inbuilt supports, you need to write this PDBC code for connecting to the database and for performing CRUD operations, all those things, right? So you can set up your database in settings.py file in the project level directory, and in that project level directory we have subdirectories there. No, in that subdirectory we have settings.py file. If you open that settings.py file, you can see the variable like this: databases is equal to, right, some dictionaries are defined. So dictionary of databases. So SQLite 3 database is the inbuilt database which comes out of the box from Django installation. Okay, you no need to install separately for creating a database. SQLite is the database which is a development database. It is used as a development database, friends, for testing your website and your models and databases, right? So it is inbuiltly there. Okay, so that setup is you can find in databases variable in settings.py file, like it is written like this in the dictionary form. So engine is the key and its value is django.db.backends.sqlite3. so this sqlite3 is the database engine you are using. That means your Django framework is using, and the name of the database is db.sqlite3. So if you carefully examine this db.sqlite3, this file will be created in your web project. Okay, if you run your server, this file will be defaultly created. Okay, this is the database name. Okay, so you are specifying that database file to the Django so that it will go and connect to this database and perform the DB operations, right? So this is a default database, right? If you don't want this SQLite 3 and if you want your own database like Postgres or MySQL or Oracle or some other database, then you can change this part, okay, which I highlighted. So you can do like this. If you want you use MySQL database, then you can modify this code like this. Engine, you can change its SQLite 3 to MySQL. Then you need to name some other parameters. You need to declare some other parameters. Here name you need to give the database name, and the host name is, that means the IP address of your database server, and then user is this MySQL provides authentications privileges for logging into the database. To access the database records, you must provide your login credentials, that means user and password. So after giving all these parameters, your new custom DB has ready. Okay, you can then write your PDBC code in the view file. Okay, as a view function. In the view function, you can write your PDBC code to connect to this MySQL database and perform all the operations. In what? In native DP language. So since you are using MySQL and you had bypassed the model layer and ORM support, so since you are using PDBC, through PDBC code you can use the native MySQL syntax commands to perform all the database related operations, friends. Okay, now let us discuss little bit about SQLite 3 database, how to browse the data stored in the SQLite database, which is default, and then we will move to the topic of our present class is how to bypass the model layer and do the transactions, right? So let us discuss this first, how to browse the SQLite 3 database. Okay, sorry, let me go to the so I had downloaded one software called DB browser. Okay, you can Google it and you can download this DB browser. It is a very attractive graphical user explorer for your SQLite database, friends. Okay, so now if you open this graphical user interface for your SQLite DB, it will come like this. Okay, then you can click this one, open database, and you can give the path. Okay, I am giving the path. In the last class I think we have created the college web project. In that college web project we have a default db.sqlite3 file is there. No, let us open it. Here if you open like this, you can see some 12 tables was created automatically by Django. We didn't created all these things, Django created. You can see create table, authentication group. This is the native language statements, friends. Okay, but in the Django creates it's with its own models.py and ORM support. Okay, all these things. So these all tables was created by Django, but in the last table here you can see students underscore student data. That means if you switch over to our VS Code, it is our college web project. If you expand it, we have students application. Inside the students application we have defined one models. Okay, that means we are using the model layer. Okay, this is the student data, which it becomes the table name. So that table name is existed where inside the students application. So that's why the name it automatically given the name students underscore student data. That means inside the students application there is one database table, or in the Django language the model. Okay, the model called student data is available. Okay, so its native language SQL language code is create table like this. Okay, but we didn't use this create table blah blah blah. Okay, we did simple, we had defined this creation of this table like this by using Python code. Okay, so in turn which Django users its inbuilt capability to turn this Python class code to the native SQL code by its ORM support. Okay, so we had all discussed this. This is the migration file in which it stores all the changes to this table. Okay, it's like version management system like git hub is there, no? We are using for its version changes. Okay, if I delete this branch, then it will create one more file like 002, then it will represent that change, that particular change. Okay, like that all the changes has happened here. And then if we run migrate python manage.py migrate, then all these changes which was readily available inside the migration folder will be committed to its SQLite database, right? Now this is the setup. We are using model.py file. That means we are including the model layer and ORM support also. So those things we had saw in the last class. Now we are studying how to explore the data which is stored in this file db.sqlite3. Okay, all this data was stored inside, no? So in the administrative interface we saw that, but if you want to see it in other way, you can always use db browser for SQLite, and here also you can do like this. If you double click this one, this schema will appear. Okay, if you want to view that, browse data, go to the browse data and select the table here. So this is our table. Okay, these are all Django defined tables, but user defined table is this one. So if you click this one, so inside that SQLite, here you can see the file name. So inside our college we have one inbuilt SQLite 3 database. So inside this database file we have our table called student data, which is having some simple 3 columns data. Okay, this is the data which we had created using admin interface, right? Okay, like this you can browse this data inside the db.sqlite3. Now coming to our main agenda now. So how to bypass these models? So if you don't want to use these models, and then in the view file, if you don't want to access that model by using its ORM like students.objects.all, so if you don't like that, you can just uh, isolate these models, right, by writing the code like this. Okay, let us write the code. So in the last class we had imported our student data. So this is student data from student models, right? From this model student data is there. This student data model is imported to the view.py file for accessing purpose. Now if you don't want that model, that means if you don't want this model layer, and if you want to directly connect to the database, you can do like this. You can import connection from django.db, right? And then you can perform your own logic, right? So you can use with. So the with statement in the Python classes we had discussed with. If you use this with, it will open the connection and it will automatically close the connection even though you don't represent the close. If you forget the close, then also it is no problem, it will automatically close the database connection or file. Okay, for both it will use. So with connection dot cursor as cursor. So this is the variable, so it is actually equal to writing the code like this. Okay, so cursor is equal to connection dot cursor. Okay, both are same. This statement is same as this statement, but the only difference is with. If you use with keyword, it will close the database connection automatically. So that's why we are using with. So with connection dot cursor, where is this connection coming from? It's coming from django.db module. Okay, So connection dot cursor, that means we are importing the connection to this inbuilt SQLite 3 database. Okay, so then we are creating cursor object as cursor. So then cursor dot execute. So we have one method called execute, and inside this you need to give the native database language commands. Okay, select star from what, students underscore student data. Okay, this is our uh, table name, right? So which was stored inside the db.sqlite3. Earlier I had explored this file with db browser, right? So students underscore student data, this is our table name. So what we are doing, we are writing one native SQL code. So this is not ORM code. Okay, so this is native code of database, right? Select star from, it's all look like MySQL commands only. SQLite 3 and MySQL is 90% same, friends. Okay, so it's simple. SQLite is, it's a light, is nothing but it's a lightweight database. So it's an totally, if you analyze SQLite and MySQL, is follows the same syntax. The only difference is this is a lightweight database and MySQL is the heavy database which uses database server. Here the database server is not there, it is an in-memory database. Okay, okay, now anyway this database SQLite and MySQL, Oracle, those are all database related topics. So here we are using the native database specific language statement. So thereby we are not using the ORM code which Django provides as a support. So select star. Star means we are selecting all the records inside the table. Okay, now cursor dot fetch all. So there is one command, one function called fetch all. Fetch all means after executing this command, the result set will be there. We need to fetch all those results and store it in some variable. I am storing it in data variable. Now, so we need to, now our data is ready. So it is connected to the inbuilt database here SQLite 3, and then we are executing the statement called native SQL language code, and after that we are fetching all those records to the variable called data, and we need to return that data to the template, right? So in this process we are not even contacting the model layer. Okay, because we are not at all importing any student data model which was defined in the models.py. Rather than we are directly connecting to the SQLite database in which we had already having the data. Okay, now just return render request. Okay, after the request you need to mention the template name. What is the template name? index.html. After that context is equal to what, some I think we had in the last class also we had used std. Okay, let's use std because in the template we had defined that injecting the Jinja code with this std key. Okay, data. So this data is served to the index.html file, right? So let us see the index.html. So this is our index.html. I had used the for loop I in std. Okay, so the std consists of the data returned by the data variable. Okay, now let us send the request. Here you can see I am students home page. Now the earlier it was uh, displayed beautifully because in the ORM support it returns the records in the form of dictionary, but here it is returning the data in the form of tuples. Okay, 1 Chandrakumar ECE, like that. Okay, so now this page doesn't go through the model layer or ORM layer. Okay, so it's directly, it checks the URL and it map that URL to the view function, which is this view function, and in this view function it directly connected to the db.sqlite3 database. So through the model layer it doesn't go. Okay, so and perform its own native SQLite code and then fetched the data, and this data is returned to the index template. Okay, so this is the procedure of bypassing the model layer. Okay, and connecting directly to the database and performs the task and return the data what we needed to the index.html or template. Okay, so you may get one doubt. So the student data is defined by using the model layer, right? So that was created by the model layer, and you can define your own database also. Let me create one new table. Okay, new table uh, manually. Okay, create table. So let me give the table as some products. Okay, products. Okay, the table name I am giving is as products. Okay, so now I am adding the field name of the field as name. Okay, name, the type is text. Okay, and then I am using the another cost. Okay, cost is integer. I am taking only two columns, name column and cost of the product table. Okay, so here products, so this was created by me manually, so not through model layer, right? So create table like that. And now, so if I need to give the data by myself, select the data. Okay, let me load the data to this. Okay, so write changes, import, save project. Okay, edit programs, execute SQL, add records. Okay, here you can see new record is there. No, I am giving a new record here, like mango cost is say some 100. Okay, and then I am using another mango apple, and it is some 150. Now this is I am manually inserting the data to the table, friends. Let us say banana, say it's a 50 rupees. Okay, now I had simply loaded some 3 records. Let me write changes. Okay, so now I have my own products table which was manually created at the back end. So I had inserted 3 records. Now if you want to access this products table from our Django. Okay, it's not at all related to models. Just write the code, select star from here. Now you can specify the database table called products. Okay, here fetch all data. This holds good. Then in the templates layer you can the same bit of code will hold good, right? Now if you open this and send the response, I mean send the request, here you can see the newly created table. We are accessing the records. Okay, mango 100, apple 150, banana 50. Okay, so earlier this we are connected to the database which was defined by the models layer, but here you had completely isolated even that. Okay friends, so if by this way you can bypass that model layer. Okay, you can write your PDBC code to access the model, I mean database, and then perform your card operations. Okay friends, this is the topic of this class, and in the next class we'll see some more topics. Till then, bye bye, your Sveta signing off. Thank you for listening.